Certain invisible clothing details can be worth up to $100,000, and only those who truly know can recognize their significance. These silent codes of luxury tell a story that few people actually understand. Welcome to the fascinating universe of clothing status signals, where every stitch, every button, every fold hides a subliminal message intended for those who share the same language of excellence. In the circles of the global elite, clothes are never simply clothes. They constitute a sophisticated communication system that transcends words and instantly establishes your position in the social hierarchy. Take for example the seemingly ordinary white shirt worn by a billionaire during a business meeting. To the untrained eye, it looks identical to one found in any store, but in reality, this shirt may have required 50 hours of artisan work. The mother-of-pearl buttons come from specific Australian oysters, selected for their unique iridescence. The seams are hand-sewn with silk thread so fine it is practically invisible, creating a perfect line that hugs the body without ever pulling or wrinkling. The collar of this bespoke shirt also hides a secret. Its construction requires 7 distinct pieces of fabric assembled with surgical precision. This ancestral technique ensures that the collar maintains its perfect shape even after hundreds of professional washes. The fabric itself tells an extraordinary story. It often comes from century-old Italian mills that cultivate their own cotton varieties under controlled climatic conditions. If you truly appreciate this journey behind the scenes of luxury and want to discover even more exclusive secrets, take a moment to subscribe to Lux Eternal and activate the notification bell. Your support allows us to continue unveiling the fascinating mysteries of this exceptional universe. Shoes perhaps constitute the most revealing status signal in the luxury masculine wardrobe. A connoisseur can instantly determine a man's wealth and taste simply by observing his feet for 3 seconds. Custom-made John Lobb shoes require 9 months of manufacturing and cost approximately $15,000 per pair. But this astronomical price reflects only a fraction of their true symbolic value. These shoes are built on a personalized last sculpted specifically for your feet after a complete biomechanical analysis. The leather used comes from calves raised under such controlled conditions that their skin presents no imperfection, even at the microscopic level. The patina of these shoes evolves over time in a way impossible to reproduce artificially, creating a unique visual signature. Insiders instantly recognize this natural evolution of leather and can even estimate how long you have owned these shoes. The soles are hand-sewn according to the traditional Norwegian technique, a method so complex that only a few artisans in the world still master it perfectly. This construction allows the shoes to be resold indefinitely, transforming a $15,000 purchase into a transgenerational investment. In the feminine universe, handbags function as silent identity cards in the luxury world. A Hermès Birkin bag in Niloticus crocodile can cost $300,000, but its price is only the beginning of the story. The waiting list to acquire certain models extends over several years, and you must first prove your loyalty to the house by purchasing other items. This system creates an invisible social hierarchy where owning the bag is not enough, you must have been judged worthy to receive it. The stitching of the Birkin contains a fascinating secret. It is made by a single artisan from beginning to end, and their identity is marked by a discrete code inside the bag. This total traceability ensures that if your bag needs repair in 20 years, it will return to the same artisan who created it. The crocodile leather used comes from specific farms in Australia where each animal is raised under optimal conditions for 3 to 4 years. The skin can only be taken from the central part of the belly, representing less than 20% of the animal's total surface area. Watches perhaps constitute the most complex and codified status signal in the universe of quiet luxury. A Patek Philippe Nautilus in stainless steel with a catalog price of $40,000 regularly resells for more than $200,000 on the secondary market. This price distortion creates a system where owning the watch demonstrates not only your wealth but also your connection with the exclusive circles that control access to these pieces. Connoisseurs instantly recognize the impossible to obtain models and understand the message, "You belong to the inner circle." The dial of these watches hides details invisible to the untrained eye but immediately recognizable by insiders. The applied indices are fixed individually with precision of 1/100th of a millimeter. The color of the dial evolves subtly according to the angle of light thanks to ancestral Japanese lacquering techniques applied in 30 successive layers. The mechanical movement inside contains up to 600 components assembled by hand, some of which measure less than 1 millimeter in diameter. Ties represent another particularly sophisticated silent language in the world of high-level business. A standard Hermès tie costs approximately $200, but limited edition models can reach several $1,000s. The difference lies in details imperceptible to most. The pattern is printed on 7-ply twill silk from silkworms raised exclusively for the house. The edges are hand-rolled by specialized artisans who dedicate their entire careers to this unique task. Certain private clubs and boards of directors have developed unwritten dress codes where wearing certain ties signals your belonging to specific networks. These discrete patterns function as visual passwords, recognizable only by initiated members. A particular stripe, a specific shade of navy blue, the exact angle of a geometric pattern, all these elements transmit information to people who know how to decode them. This form of encrypted communication allows elites to identify each other even in public contexts. Vintage pocket watches constitute a particularly refined status signal in certain collector circles. Wearing a 19th-century Breguet pocket watch valued at $500,000 at a formal event transmits a very specific message. You value history, traditional craftsmanship and possess the necessary knowledge to appreciate ancestral horological complications. These watches were often commissioned by kings and aristocrats, and their current possession creates a symbolic continuity with this historical lineage. In the universe of bespoke tailoring, invisible details separate true connoisseurs from wealthy amateurs. An authentic Savile Row suit begins at $15,000 and can easily exceed $50,000 for the most exceptional fabrics. But the price is only one aspect of the equation. The real difference lies in elements that no one ever sees. The interior canvases are hand-woven horsehair, a material that molds to the shape of your body over several months of use. The buttonholes are hand-cut and individually reinforced, a technique that requires 15 minutes per buttonhole. The interior pockets are lined with French silk whose specific texture ensures that your objects slide easily without ever catching. The perfect drape of the suit depends on the subtle balance between dozens of tension points strategically distributed in the invisible structure of the garment. An experienced tailor can instantly identify a suit made on Savile Row simply by the way the fabric moves when you walk. Accessories in precious metals transmit particularly sophisticated messages in quiet luxury circles. Cufflinks in 18-karat yellow gold adorned with cloisonné enamels can cost $20,000 per pair. Their fabrication requires an almost vanished know-how. The enamel is applied in several successive layers then fired at specific temperatures to create colors impossible to reproduce by other means. These cufflinks often become transgenerational objects passed from father to son, accumulating a family history visible only to those who know their provenance. Silk scarves constitute another vector of silent communication particularly prized in the feminine luxury universe. A classic Hermès square requires 2 years of development from initial concept to final production. The design is created by specifically commissioned artists, then engraved on silkscreen screens with precision allowing up to 45 distinct colors. Each color requires a separate pass, and the registration must be perfect to the 100th of a millimeter. certain scarf patterns become so iconic that they function as generational markers. Women who wear certain vintage designs signal their connection with a family tradition of taste and refinement. The folding of the scarf itself constitutes a subtle art with dozens of different techniques, each transmitting a different message about your personal style. The traditional knots used in the great Parisian fashion houses require years of practice to be executed with the casual elegance that characterizes true luxury. Sunglasses represent an often underestimated but extremely revealing status signal for insiders. Cartier glasses in solid gold with custom polarized lenses can cost $15,000. The frames are made from a single block of gold machined with computer-controlled precision, then hand-polished for 200 hours. The lenses themselves are manufactured in German laboratories using optical technologies originally developed for aerospace applications. The leather goods beyond handbags tell equally fascinating stories in the world of silent luxury codes. A Berluti wallet in patinated Venezia leather requires 6 months of natural aging before being ready for sale. The leather is hand-dyed using ancestral techniques involving up to 7 successive color layers. Each wallet develops a unique patina that becomes more beautiful with age, creating a visual record of its owner's life. Belts represent another underestimated signal in the luxury wardrobe grammar. A Hermès belt with reversible buckle can cost $3,000, but the real value lies in the construction. The leather is selected from the same premium hides used for Birkin bags, representing less than 5% of available production. The buckle is hand-polished and balanced so precisely that it never tilts when worn, a detail that separates true luxury from imitations. In the world of luxury outerwear, certain details speak volumes to those who understand the language. A Loro Piana cashmere coat made from baby cashmere can cost $30,000. The fiber comes from the first shearing of Mongolian goats raised at specific altitudes where temperature variations create the finest fleece. Each coat requires the production of approximately 30 goats, and the softness is so exceptional that it feels almost liquid against the skin. The buttons on luxury coats often cost more than entire garments from mainstream brands. Horn buttons hand-carved from water buffalo horn and polished for days create subtle color variations impossible to replicate. The buttonholes are bound by hand using silk thread in a technique that requires 5 years of apprenticeship to master. These details remain invisible to most observers but create an unmistakable impression of quality that transcends conscious perception. Evening wear represents perhaps the ultimate expression of silent luxury codes and status signals. A ketone tuxedo crafted from Super 200 wool can cost $40,000. The wool fibers are so fine that they are almost impossible to work with, requiring master tailors with decades of experience. The black fabric is dyed using techniques that create a depth of color unattainable through standard processes, absorbing light in a way that appears almost three-dimensional. The details of luxury evening wear extend to elements most people never consciously notice. The grosgrain on the lapels is hand-stitched with tension calibrated to create a subtle dimensional effect. The trousers feature a hand-sewn side stripe that requires 4 hours of work per pair. Even the interior finishing receives the same attention as visible elements, with silk linings cut on the bias to drape perfectly. Understanding these silent signals requires years of exposure to genuine luxury and interaction with those who live within these rarefied circles. The codes are never taught explicitly but absorbed through observation and experience. This creates a natural barrier that money alone cannot cross. You must invest time and attention to truly belong. The clothing you wear becomes a language that either confirms or questions your claim to membership in the world of genuine luxury and refined taste.